Good morning and welcome in. This is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel.
You are a vital part of our game.
Thank you for having me on.
All the way to the green. Woo! Boy, was that fun.
I've always wanted to be on 5 Clubs. Thanks, Gary.
Good morning. Welcome into 5 Clubs live on Golf Channel. And of course, PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. I'm Gary Williams. This program always presented by Century Insurance. We appreciate their investment in golf at every level, from the USGA to the First Tee to the PGA Tour, and right here at 5 Clubs. Their business is business insurance. Evaluate yours with them. They want to be right by you. Century Insurance. We've got an hour to try to give perspective and context to a guy really coming out of the ashes to win a golf tournament. And we will get to that in great detail. Taylor Zarzour is going to join me. His program on PGA Tour Radio just concluded on Sirius XM. He's going to be with me in about 20 minutes for the balance of the program. Not to mention Pebble Beach delivering, and it's delivering really in terms of its presentation in a way that it never has before. I thought it changed significantly during the U.S. Open in 2019. Great credit to Fox with the way that they presented it in an aerial fashion we hadn't seen before. CBS taking it to a new level with their technology. And of course, who won? We're going to get to all of it. But how about winners across the board? We're going to start, as we do every Monday, with people who won golf tournaments. And at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, it is Collin Morikawa. You think he waited a while to win? How about the guy in the middle? I'm going to try to put together some words here on Anthony Kim. I'll do my best. He, of course, wins at Adelaide on a Saturday night into early Sunday morning in the United States. And just one of what will be many historical footnotes to give you an idea of how long it's been, not to mention where his life has been. David Toms has won more recently on the PGA Tour, not PGA Tour Champions, where he won yesterday at the Chubb Classic. He won Colonial a year after Anthony Kim won for the last time on the PGA Tour. Yeah, he won in 2011. Anthony Kim won in 2010. So those are your 3 winners presented by Golf Pride. When it comes to grips, every player to every level trusts Golf Pride more than anybody else. We will start with the AT&T, but I promise, not only me, but also when I get Taylor in here, we will talk at length about not only AT&T, but also Anthony Kim, because it's quite interesting how LIV got its greatest moment from somebody who was initially a marketing ploy, but really because he dug it out of the dirt himself to get back on LIV, he's the most significant event they've had. But we start with Collin Morikawa, and we start with your final leaderboard. And look, these signature series events are going to give you, more times than not, you know, a very attractive, very glossy leaderboard. Because there's one thing you can count on. Come hell or high water, no matter what he shoots in the opening round, Scheffler will be on the first page. But Collin Morikawa finds himself on top of a leaderboard for the first time in several years. Minwoo Lee just cruises it at 190 ball speed on the closing hole, with it ripping about 30 over his left shoulder. He finishes a shot back, as does Sepp Straka, who appeared to be an afterthought with an hour to go. Credit to him, he makes 3 on the last. He jumps up, gets blackjack. So those 2 in second. You see the 2 guys at fourth. Scheffler and Fleetwood, and then you have Sam Burns, Akshay Bhatia, who was your 54-hole leader at one point on Saturday. He had a 5-shot lead. Jake Knapp is off to a really good start, as is Jacob Bridgman, even though we think he just finished the 18th hole. How he made a 6? It should be, if it takes 45 minutes, it can't be 6, it's got to be more. And you talk about putting somebody on ice. He put Collin Morikawa, not intentionally, in a deep freeze with him trying to close a golf tournament. And Shane Lowry, his first start of the year on the PGA Tour, played a couple times in the Middle East. He jumps up and gets a top 10 as well. But for Collin Morikawa, he is just the latest example. I'm not suggesting every single guy who wins on the PGA Tour that their greatest obstacle is themselves, but I think in large measure that's true. And I don't think that Collin Morikawa's greatest obstacle was something that was self-imposed because of some clumsy moments that he might have had about this time last year, which started at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which I don't think were entirely his responsibility, because if you remember how everyone said, well, you just left after you lost that golf tournament. No, he didn't. Actually, he stuck around. Nobody came to talk to him. Then he eventually left, and they eventually wanted to talk to him. And then he kind of doubled down at the Players. And I actually think he got himself in a place he'd never been in before, which was kind of being looked upon in a negative light. He's been nothing but the consummate young professional, dedicated, determined, gritty, and I think kind of chippy at times. And I think he's been progressively more chippy the longer it's gone between his wins. Got a couple major championships, been on, all these international United States teams, from President's Cup to Ryder Cups. But in the last year, I think that he has found himself in a space that he hasn't occupied much, a self-conscious space. And that's not a good space to be in when you do something alone. It's one thing when you're a left tackle and you're thinking, oh my gosh, in 2.8 seconds, my rear end is going to be on the front side of my quarterback. You know what I'm talking about? It kind of happened about 8 days ago out in Santa Clara, California. You can tell when players who are in a team environment appear to become self-conscious because they're experiencing self-doubt as well. I don't think it was necessarily that so much with Collin Morikawa, but I think he is inclined, and he has admitted this a lot, including this past week when he won a golf tournament, that he finds himself going down holes of self-examination where, why don't I swing it like I used to? And he got the best advice he could ever get from his longtime coach, who he abandoned for a brief period, Rick Sessinghaus. And Rick said to him before the weekend, just go play golf. Isn't that something we'd all love to hear from our better halves? Just go play golf, even if it's said in kind of a angry tone, because I will hustle on out of the house, even though I'll probably spend half the time with thoughts about golf swing instead of just golf. But here is the period in which Collin Morikawa has now ended by winning for the 7th time. It was the Zozo. It's football season. Oh, really? He won that? I wasn't even really paying attention. It's a good field, but 45 starts, 4 times a second, a couple of them, really chafing seconds where it's like, I should have won. 9 top 5s. Like his ebbs, that's his ebb. His ebb is, I play a lot, I contend a lot, but I just didn't happen to win. He didn't go into the witness protection program. He was on the United States Ryder Cup team. Some people thought not necessarily deservingly so, but he was still there. And his numbers in terms of his standing, as far as the rankings outside the top 6, were representative of him being on that team. But Rick Sessinghaus said something to him that I think a lot of people want to say to their clients, students, players. Just play golf. Stop thinking about all the positions in your golf swing. And he shot 62 on Saturday and went from kind of, being in the middle of a packed field where you had to shoot nothing just to be on the first couple of pages heading into the weekend. And he launched himself from being an afterthought heading into the weekend to being in the final group. And he didn't do anything spectacular on the outward 9, but when it mattered most, he delivered the goods, doing what he does best, better than anybody else, iron shots. So we'll speak more about him when Taylor gets in here, but speaking of iron shots, nobody does it like Scottie Scheffler does. And Scottie Scheffler did this week what he did last week, put himself in a big hole after the opening round, and then methodically and ploddingly dug himself out of it. Just take a look, overcoming slow starts. This goes back to 2023. This doesn't happen often, shooting 72 or worse. It's happened now 5 times. 5 times in total. And what has he done? 3rd, 2nd, 7th, 3rd, 4th. You know why? Because he can't help himself. Because the idea of going through the motions and just, plodding along and the result will be what the result is, no. He insists on every single shot being a referendum of some kind because he loves the competition, because he loves to dig in. And that's why the idea of him kind of ebbing in a way where things are going to kind of, he may, finish 34th or 38th. Not likely, because a couple other things have now happened for another week, which piles on to streaks that we haven't seen in a while. One, we have to go back 60 years. This one more recently. The 63 he put together yesterday, and people are going to say, well, it could have been lower. He missed some short putts. It's amazing how we forget the mid-length to longer range putts that he made. It's what it was. It was 63. He made every 15 to 20 footer, so yeah, he missed a couple short ones. It evened out. He shot 63, made 151 feet of putts, the most he's ever made in a round. So now he's done something only Tiger has done twice in the last 40 years. 8 straight top 4s on the PGA Tour, and now, and we don't count the hero. I know some people are saying it's 19 straight top 10s. Not around here. Official PGA Tour events, it's now 18. Casper, as in Billy, as in mid-60s, is the last time that was done. And that's why the idea of reeling him in, as far as production level, and it's not just the top 10s, the top 5s. By the way, in those 18 top 10s, 15 of them have been top 5s. And yesterday, for a moment, you're going, he's found a lane. He can post. But oddly enough, the weather, which kicked up to some degree, actually produced more low scores on the inward 9 from some of the players in the final couple groups than their scores on the outward 9 like his. It was supposed to ravage the front, survive the back. It was contrary to that for several people, including a couple of guys who were on the first page of that leaderboard. But Scheffler does what Scheffler does, and Collin just did something he hadn't done in a while. But speaking of a while, AK, we will try our best to give a sense of what that was at Adelaide. Good to have you with us. It's a Monday. Taylor Zarzour joins me in a couple of minutes. Of course, we are live on Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. Back with Anthony Kim in Perspective after this. Back in this Monday edition of 5 Clubs live on Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. And this segment is brought to you by Peter Millar. All these layers, it's not that many. I could go one or two more. It's all Peter Millar. Every single thing that I have worn for the last 16 years is from the best lifestyle brand there is. Yes, golf, they have everything you could ever imagine, but it's everything you could ever imagine for anything that you have to attend in your life, from soccer games to board meetings. Everything is at Peter Millar and petermillar.com. Now, LIV Golf had what I felt was kind of a sleepy opener. They start in Riyadh. The American audience was modest. I know they play under the lights and all that. And then they go to Adelaide, and then it gets turned up. And it doesn't matter who's on the first page of the leaderboard, but what they had transpire was something that nobody, and when I say nobody, you could be the most ardent supporter of the idea that Anthony Kim at some point, because at one time he was a young star, was going to be somebody capable of contending again. But it was not just that it was Adelaide, the most electric environment that LIV Golf has over the course of their brief history. It was also the fact that they were on a firm, fast golf course, which requires more precision than all other golf courses. And oh, by the way, you can add the two biggest stars on LIV Golf, Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm, were not only in his group, they were in front of him on the leaderboard. And what transpired to happen on Saturday night in the United States and on Sunday afternoon in Australia was a story that will take probably some time and will be talked about for beyond some time. Anthony Kim, from the depths of contemplating that, you know what, being here may not be the best thing. And I'm not talking about being on a golf course. I'm talking about just being here. And with this short putt, Anthony Kim crossed a place that most people thought he would never cross again. And I don't care on what tour, I don't care how many holes. And oh, by the way, it's now 72, which to some people matters, present company included. Anthony Kim plows through Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, shoots a final round 63, wins a golf tournament on LIV, hugs his young daughter and wife, and has all of us going, did I just see what I just saw? Because to give you perspective, it's not just about length of time between when he was what he was, and what he was a lightning rod of electricity. And he had a pragmatism to him and just a wow factor that you went, okay, he's got it. I was at Louisville in 2008 and watched him walk off, and I mean literally walk off Sergio. I was also there, and I wasn't bird dogging him. I just happened to coincidentally, and it wasn't that long after, in the spring of 2012, when he packed his bag outside the locker room at Quail Hollow, and he withdrew from the event after an opening round 74. And in that time, from 2008 to 2012, he had gone in a very different direction. And the direction wasn't getting lighter, it was getting darker. I watched him in a disheveled state, looking fractured, pack up his travel bag and seeing all these teas literally pouring out of his travel bag, and he's trying to get everything in there because he just wanted to go away. And he did. Not only did he go away, he didn't play competitive golf. He wasn't seen. And there were just rumors, and there was hearsay. But what we could glean is that it wasn't good. And I've known and know a lot of people who've been in those places that have you contemplating not being here anymore. And when you're treating your depression with a depressant, what do you think that does to you? It puts you in the most precarious places imaginable psychologically. And for him to dig out of, not looking into the abyss, being in the abyss, to find enough purpose, forget playing golf, to just say, you know what, I give up. I need help. That alone is a threshold many people never cross over because they make the darkest choice imaginable before they even get the help that they them at that moment don't even know they need, because their mind is in a state that is beyond competent. And here he was on a Saturday night, after, by the way, being relegated to regain his status. At first, entering on to LIV is just nothing more than, let's take a flyer. At worst, we'll get interest out of it. And I get it. I get why they did it. 5,796 days, and I don't say this in a glib way. If you think that Andy Dufresne walked through 500 yards or climbed or crawled through 500 yards of excrement, how about 5,796 days, many of them, at least psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally broken, crawling through that. To come back and not just be somebody who can play golf, but to find purpose, to dig in on it. And it appears, and again, I have no earthly idea, appears as somebody who has found purpose because with a young child and with a wife. So when he spoke after winning, it wasn't about what it means to me, it's about what it means to somebody else.
I will tell her that, you know, before she came into this world, that I didn't feel any purpose in my life. And, you know, whether you have a lot of money, whether you have a lot of success in your life, you still can feel lonely and feel like the world is against you. And that's in your own mind. Because I had a lot of people rooting for me. Obviously, you saw it there, how many people were rooting for me. But I just want her to know that no matter how bad your day is, if you keep fighting, you never lose. And hopefully she takes that with her for the rest of her life. I want to inspire people. I know I told my wife this, the only way I get to reach the amount of people I want to reach is by winning. I can talk about my struggles all I want, but if I don't have the platform, then I won't reach as many people. And when I was in rehab, that was my goal. I said, if I got out of here, I'd like to help people, and golf wasn't in the picture.
The big word there, if I got out of there, which he did. Peace of mind is a very powerful thing. It's something taken for granted by most. And peace of mind is all but gone by people who go to places where he had gone. And consider whether he had all the things that happened in his life between then and Saturday night and this morning. Just say his game went away alone. That's a lifetime in and of itself. And even though I think it's a very eloquent thing to say that talent is timeless, there's only so much sand in that hourglass. Whether you're healthy or whether you're injured or whether you are without hope, period, which he was. When he was on that Ryder Cup team in 2008, if you look at the roster of players who were on that team, 2 of those guys, excluding him, have won in this decade, and those were borderline miraculous. Stuart Sink and Phil Mickelson both won in 2021, and Phil, of course, won the PGA. And the only other person who's won within the last decade was J.B. Holmes. They didn't go what he went through. Careers begin and end, many of them successfully, in the time period between the spring of 2010 and the winter of 2016. Rory McIlroy's career, Jordan Spieth's career, Brooks Koepka's career, and Justin Thomas's careers began after he won for the last time. Rory won on the PGA Tour a month after Anthony Kim won for the last time. And since then, he's won 29 times in 5 majors. Combined, in the time between Anthony Kim won in Houston and won Saturday night in the United States and Australia at Adelaide, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, and Rory McIlroy had combined to win 15 majors and 67 PGA Tour titles. To say it's a lifetime, and oh, by the way, just add all the other stuff. Unimaginable, really, but it happened. Impossible, as Ali said, is nothing. We come back. Taylor Zarzour is going to join me, his thoughts on AK and also Pebble, and we give a little preview to Riviera, because I know how much he loves that place as we approach the bottom of the hour here on a Monday. Nice to have you with us live on Golf Channel, also PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. Back with TZ right after this. Back in on a Monday, bottom of the hour here on 5 Clubs Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio. That's Channel 92 on Sirius XM. This segment brought to you by Century Insurance, our presenting sponsor. Their business is business insurance. Evaluate yours with them. They want to be right by you at Century Insurance. He's right by you on Saturdays in the SEC. On Sundays, if you're a Titan fan, he is the voice of the Titans. If you watch the World Feed on PGA Tour Live, he will bring you home. And of course, he takes you to work every day, Monday through Friday on PGA Tour Radio. There's not a day of the week that he cannot satisfy whatever your interest is, from college football, the NFL, to the PGA Tour, to talking about all things in golf. He, of course, is Taylor Zarzour. My friend, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You are truly the Rolling Stone. You gather no moss.
Well, the hardest assignment is going Peter Millar from head to toe with every...
Actually, it's not. It's the easiest assignment.
Every layer that I own right now is every layer is Peter Millar, including the socks.
All right, Kevin will check you on the way out to make sure every layer.
Yeah.
We got to try to get to as much as we can, because as somebody who loves all the stories, AK fashioned one that, look, it's nice. He's found his footing, it appears, in life, more importantly than anything. Give me your sense of what it is that he just did.
Well, I think that you did an excellent job in the previous segment putting a bow on that, and the late, great Jack Whitaker would have been proud at what you just said and the perspective that you just shared on Anthony Kim's story. It's unprecedented to see somebody 16 years apart win again in professional golf. I know some may question the merit of LIV Golf compared to the PGA Tour, but he beat Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, two of the best players in the game, and the way that in which he did it was simply extraordinary. But the depths of despair, I have some stories on that, Gary. 18 years ago, he won in this city, in Charlotte, North Carolina, for his first win on the PGA Tour. And I spent some time with Anthony Kim that night. And like others, I was a little concerned at the other things that were going on in Anthony's life outside of being the next Tiger Woods or the next great player in the game. And years later, I connected with Anthony and his management team. SiriusXM did. And I booked a plane ticket to go see him in 2019. He had agreed to talk to us. He was not connected to golf almost at all. He had no interest in returning to the game. He did want to share his story and what he was currently doing and how big of a sports fan he was. And a couple of days before I boarded a plane to go to Dallas, Texas, I was told not to come. And there was a lot of emotion in the voice of the person that had to call me on Anthony's behalf to say it's not a good time. So to your point, he was in a really dark place for a very long time. And as I said last hour, I was afraid I was going to get an alert on my phone one day about Anthony Kim. And the fact that instead on Sunday morning I got an alert on my phone that he had won a golf tournament and that he had beaten some of the world's best, it's the best story LIV could ever write. This isn't a shot at them, but paying hundreds of millions of dollars to buy Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, to try to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to buy Rory McIlroy, or $1 billion to buy Tiger Woods. None of those stories have connected with the audience. No one that has won over there has connected with the audience, no matter how much money they have given them. The story that did connect with the audience was this. This is, you can't write this. You can't write it. And for somebody to do what it took to win again, it's the best story they could ever connect to.
Yeah, you know, a couple of things that you said. One with respect to the idea of, you know, you thought whatever you were going to hear about Anthony Kim eventually was going to be some really sad realization that he was gone. And the truth is that whether it be addiction, whether it be alcoholism, and usually a lot of them are married together, it is suicide in slow motion. And it's just a matter of when it gets to, and whether it is that deliberate act, which that happens a lot, which is unimaginable thought and darkness, or it is different forms of suicide, whether it's what you're doing to your body and your mind, and then it finally shuts down, or it's driving off a cliff or hitting somebody else. That's what it is. The fact that it wasn't that, and again, he has a respite for today, and I think he knows that. He has to treat himself every day. And golf doesn't make him well.
Right.
But there are things about the purpose that he's found in his life that do help. I know that definitively. The other thing that you said about how he did it, it's not lost on me, and I know it's not lost on you either, that he lost his job. He was used as a tool, and I get it. I get why they did it. He had to go back and earn his there's irony in that in a place that appears to be not about merit by and large, is him earning his job back through merit. And oh, by the way, they moved to 72 holes, which matters to you, it matters to me. Those two elements count.
Yeah, you're right. He would not have won the golf tournament had they not gone to 72 holes.
Correct.
So to your point, it's a good one. And yes, the changes that LIV has made have made it more credible and made it more legitimate, no doubt. And this story certainly legitimizes it to a degree. I do wonder what ripple effect or carryover it has. Bryson DeChambeau or Brooks Koepka, after winning a major championship, had no ripple effect for LIV. I do wonder if this has any sort of ripple effect. Going back to what you said about him, his wife and his child deserve as much credit, if not more credit, for what's happening here and staying with them and being And making sure that that team stays together will be very important moving forward, as you are suggesting. But to the point about LIV, I do wonder this. The dreamer in me wonders if we will see Anthony Kim play on the PGA Tour one day. I would love to see that. I think everybody watching and listening to us right now would love to see that. I also wonder, because of some of the rules that other certain major championships have made in regards to LIV.
Sure.
Will we see Anthony Kim play in a major in 2026?
It's plausible. Obviously, we have to see beyond this. And again, they go to Hong Kong, they go to Singapore, they go to South Africa. They're not going to play a domestic event for a couple of months here as far as the United States is concerned. The fact that the USGA and the R&A have both put a mechanism in place that players who aren't already exempted in their majors based on a certain level of performance metrics that are about LIV.
Yes.
It's not about outside of LIV, it's about LIV. That pathway now exists. That doesn't exist for Augusta National. And one of the things that's challenging, and again, I don't spend a lot of time looking at reaction of people on social media, but I saw a lot of, okay, what else does he get from this? Not the sense of, can we just all digest this for a night before we're saying they owe him this? He's not owed anything.
No, he's not. He's not. And Joaquin Niemann, in his situation last year, won the Australian Open, and then he became a prolific winner on LIV, and that's why he got a special invitation to Augusta National.
Bingo.
Now, if Anthony Kim goes and wins a couple more golf tournaments on LIV and or some other tournament before playing in the Masters, I'm sure Augusta National would take that very seriously. But you're right. Enjoy this today. We'll see where this leads. We'll see what else Anthony is able to do. But it's an incredible story, Gary. I mean, you did a great job of putting it into perspective that the only other players on that Ryder Cup team from 2008 that have won in this decade are Stewart Cink, Kitchen winning near the age of 50, and Phil Mickelson winning over the age of 50. Crazy that we never saw Boo Weekley riding a horse down a fairway again, or J.B. Holmes or anyone else that would win. Hunter Mahan, there were a lot of great players on that team.
Yes, and Hunter Mahan was a young star at the time. I know that team trended a little bit older with the aforementioned Cink and Phil. You can add Justin Leonard as well, Chad Campbell. All these guys, the last time they won, it's generally between 12, 14, and 15 years. Yeah. Some of them hadn't won. They had won prior to winning at the Ryder Cup in Louisville in 2008 and haven't won since. And now this guy has. All right, let's transition to Pebble.
Yeah.
Just give me an overall thought. Let's start with Collin alone. Just where he's been. And I pointed out, kind of a weird year for a guy who never found himself in kind of a place of friction with the media before, and it kind of presented itself a year ago.
Well, of all those things that you outlined that I'm doing with my life as we came on the air here a few moments ago, one of those wonderful assignments is PGA Tour Live. And there have been a ton of times in the last handful of years, my assignment has been to call every shot that Collin Morikawa has hit. And I can say this with a lot of confidence. That guy spent way too much time scrutinizing every single detail of everything he was doing, and it put way more pressure on himself than was necessary. I saw a guy that didn't carry that burden with him around Pebble Beach on Sunday. And, you know, it's easy to say this after the fact. The guy that was standing there on the 18th tee for a few minutes and the guy that was standing in the fairway for almost half an hour didn't look like he was facing the pressure of winning a golf tournament and was thinking about all the things that came with that. Instead, it looked like he was relishing the moment, enjoying every second of it, and was eager to finish the tournament off. That's a Collin Morikawa I have not seen in a long time, and it was refreshing to witness. Look, there were multiple winners at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Collin Morikawa won the golf tournament. Congratulations to Kat, to Collin, to what they have coming forward in their life. That's the greatest baby announcement I've ever seen. Scotty Scheffler, it felt like won the golf tournament too, with what this guy is doing on Sundays the last couple weeks on the PGA Tour. Crazy.
It is. Your point about him on 18, I think is really important because here he is in this period of not winning, when his early career, all he knows is winning and winning massive events and winning 2 majors. I was so curious to see how he was going to be when they were going to pan to him when Jacob Bridgman was one of the great unintentional icings I've ever seen.
Yes.
Now, look, you do a lot of football games where timeouts are called and you're trying to ice a kicker.
Yeah.
This was taken to another level because of what was required for him to figure out where he was going to play from. Every time they panned to him, he didn't look anxious.
No.
He didn't look irritable. He didn't look angry. He was just taking it in.
He was.
That, to me, was very telling.
It was, yes. And as somebody in this business that is horrified about fill time and the amount of fill time you have to use in those situations, that's the break the glass TZ talk show topic time right there. And I just, Morikawa was looking at Bridgman like, is he going to play the whole entire hole again as he was coming back to the fairway? That was a wild scenario. And the ultimate icing of a player. You know, you can't call multiple timeouts anymore to ice a kicker. You can only call 1. You can't call 2 or 3 like you used to be able to do. But that was, in essence, what happened to Morikawa there in the fairway. And the fact that he was able to continue to go through his routine and hit a really good shot into the green
fabulous shot.
Yeah.
By the way, nobody is better equipped to handle Phil. When you do Georgia in the Citadel in September.
Georgia Charlotte. The 49ers.
Nobody was more equipped to handle Phil with some of your September, Alabama, Western Carolina.
Can't wait for those again, Gary.
All right. You mentioned the Scheffler thing. As far as these streaks, and I was asking a few people, I asked Brendan Porath about this last week, if he gets to the Players and he goes this calendar year living inside the top 10, overwhelmingly most of them are top 5s, and it's not like he's won twice, he's got this bushel full of wins. How do you contextualize that achievement, which hadn't been done in over 60 years?
Well, I mean, you've asked going into the year what we expected from Scheffler, and I expected the best season of his career.
You did.
And I continue to expect that, and it's because the guy has complete health, and as we saw on Sunday, he's the best putting version of himself he's ever been. You put those 2 factors into play on top of the fact he's already the best player in the game. I do expect this to continue to be something to watch over the course of the next couple of months. Now, he's had some bad Thursdays. 2 in a row.
Yeah.
You know, and if you keep having those, then chances are the streak's going to end at some point here in the next couple of months.
It is?
What's crazy, maybe. What's crazy is the guy has had 2 straight top 5s. He's fighting his golf swing a little bit right now.
Yeah.
He's digging it out of the dirt over the course of 4 days, but he's come to 2 straight tournaments not really sure about where the golf ball is going. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens by the time Riv starts on Thursday on what will be a very soft golf course. To answer your question, I think, look, there's nothing better than the Tiger Woods cut streak of over 140 in a row, back when a cut really mattered every single week in a full field on the PGA Tour. But if this guy gets to 25 straight top 10s, I mean, you have to put that on one hand of the great achievements that's ever happened in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, it's not just more guys capable of winning. That means there are even more guys capable of making cuts. And he is in the deepest fields, even though, again, you're right. How do we do this when these fields are shorter? Some of them don't even have cuts, which gets to larger conversations we'll have as we go down the road. One footnote, Rory bogey-free on a Sunday 64 in blustery conditions, I think is worth noting as we go forward, getting to events, including a U.S. Open. Again, conditions, turf conditions, softer. I thought that was noteworthy that he dug in. He was not in contention to win a golf tournament, and he fought and shot a bogey-free 64.
Are you previewing our picks this week on 5 Clubs?
Oh, well, we could do that. Well, we will preview Riv a little bit. I know how much you love that. Those were winning words presented by Century Insurance. We talk a little Riv, a few other notes with Taylor. We got him in studio because as soon as he leaves here, he's headed to another state to do something tonight. I don't know, introduce some country music act.
Brian Dable.
At Exit or Brian Dable, the OC of the Titans. Tighten up. We're back with him right after this. Back in on a Monday, this segment brought to you by Peter Millar. It's not just me, it's the man to my left. If you want to layer up, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, they have you covered as we transition slowly to the spring season. Get everything you could possibly need, including this little Bingham sport coat, because when I start to travel, which is coming up, I can fold this up, take it out, no wrinkles. It is the most versatile piece, the Bingham sport coat. All right. He is Taylor Zarzour. He, of course, hosts The Starter on PGA Tour Radio, which precedes us. But he's on Monday through Friday. What a sucker. On Wednesday, it's getaway day around here. But you, I remember a couple years ago when you were out at Riviera and you walked with Tiger, and it was, it was one of those experiences that are rare. To have a chance to really chat beyond just, hey, what are you trying to hit here and hit there? What do you think his role is as we embark on not only this week, but then the players? And he's got this very key voice when it comes to the competition committee and beyond. Is that going to be his biggest impact on golf, his voice this year?
Yeah, I probably so. I mean, I would love to say that he's going to play in the Masters or we're going to see him compete a couple of times. But I do think that he has become deeply passionate about the fact that he is forming the future of the PGA Tour, that he has become as important as Brian Rolapp or Theo Epstein or any other player is to what will happen with the PGA Tour schedule. And I would imagine tomorrow afternoon in his press conference, he's going to talk openly about what the PGA Tour schedule looks like moving forward. I don't think he ever envisioned a day where everyone would appreciate his voice in the game of golf influencing what happens next. And I think that he's really come to enjoy that role. So, yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest way he'll impact the game in 2026. You know I'm a dreamer, a little bit more of a dreamer than you are as it relates to Tiger Woods competing in the future. But I would admittedly say I've lost some hope about that.
I would hope so.
But there's a little part of me that would love to just see him one more time. You know, Jack in 1998 at 58 years of age is on the first page of the leaderboard at the Masters. Can't there be, Anthony Kim just won, Gary. Can't there be one more Tiger Woods charge in a major championship? I'd love to see it.
Forever's a long time.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that whatever that moment is, and you mentioned Jack, and look, you can add Watson to that, and obviously we talked about Phil earlier. Look, I would love to see him have the opportunity just to play in a U.S. Senior Open at Scioto, which was Jack's childhood home.
Yeah.
His first year of eligibility with the chance to win his 9th USGA championship. But one thing, and I've heard you talk about this on your radio show with respect to scheduling, and it appears that the clarity on all of that, we're going to get that much earlier in the calendar year than we're accustomed to, because it's kind of obligatory. We know what it is. One little alteration here, one little change here. That ain't going to be it. I've heard you suggest that we're going higher in terms of field size, which is, and that gets back to the whole idea about Tiger. Tiger doesn't like the idea of this no-cut kind of environment. He's got a modest one here. Jack does too. Yeah. The API does as well. Do you think that it's reasonable and likely that whatever tier these events are on are going to be closer to 100, maybe more?
I think more.
And that cuts will exist?
Yes, I think it's going to be 120 players in the field. I think it's going to be somewhere around that mark. That's the number I've heard thrown around by powerful people that have a lot to do with the future of the PGA Tour scheduling. I think it'll be somewhere around that mark for all 20 tournaments. Okay. And I think that the cut will be around 60 or 65. It wouldn't surprise me if they have a Saturday and a Sunday cut. I think that's something that's being considered as well, just to keep some juice going throughout the entirety of of everyone that's playing on Saturday. You got to keep playing well to play again tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me if they came up with some sort of way to do that too. But no, I think that you're going to get to a number that everybody enjoys. I also wonder, though, will Pebble Beach next year, 2 years, 3 years from now, be at the same time as what we just witnessed? And I also wonder if what we're about to watch at Riviera is going to be at the same time in the years to follow as well. One of the things I remember about that practice round that I followed Tiger for 18 holes, it was 35 degrees in Pacific Palisades, California. And I had a lot of layers on, and Tiger was heckling me about how soft I was that morning. I do not like to be cold. It wouldn't surprise me if you saw Pebble Beach and or LIV in the playoffs. If there are playoffs, I think there's a real chance you'll see those events at least one of those events at the end of the PGA Tour season.
Yeah, and also the PGA Tour in the 2 years from now, less than, I've got to navigate the presence of Pebble, which is part of that rotation of anchor sites for the U.S. Open, not to mention all the other USGA championships that they have out there as well. It's great to see you.
You
Travel
too.
safe back to your other home, of which you have several.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Look forward to the next time. And again, that next time is likely going to be around the Players' Championship, because that's just a couple weeks away. Tomorrow, Fred Perpall, the president of the USGA, is going to be with us. Wednesday, Gil Hance, he unveils the new drawings. Spanish Bay, you're familiar with it? A complete redesign. He's going to share it all with us. Jim Nance as well, and Gabby Herzig. We got a lot to get to with you before our week is done. Taylor goes to Friday. We try to get it all done by Wednesday. Have a great Monday, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Fred Perpall with us. Looking forward to that.